Well, I guess after Snapchat, maybe not necessarily after Snapchat, because I think Tesla was first, then Snapchat came along. And again, I've been a few days. Snap stock price, just curious where that turd's hanging around at these days. Up, down 1.29% today. Back in the $20 range, of course. But Tesla, interesting article from Wolf Street, from Wolf Richter. Now, Snap, losing money every year, offers really nothing. You send a message, which is like a picture or a short video clip with, you can add little nonsense to it, send it away, and then it disappears into the ether forever after a certain number of seconds. Super useful for humanity. Valued at $30-something billion. But if we want to look at the car industry, which, as you know, is miserably failing, you would think that a company that pretty much loses money every single year wouldn't have a $313 stock price. But then again, nothing in this market makes sense. Everything's a massive bubble, right? Nothing is making sense. So, he says, what Tesla's inexplicable Ponzi scheme valuation says about the stock market, Wolf Richter. In fact, it's not inexplicable at all. Tesla shares rose to $313.38 this morning, giving the company a market capitalization of about $51 billion, which surpassed GM for a moment as the most valuable American automaker. This left some industry insiders wondering about, tulip bubbles. It's either one of the great Ponzi schemes of all times, or it's going to all work out, mused Mike Jackson, CEO of AutoNation, the largest dealer group in the U.S. He was speaking at a conference hosted by the National Automobile Dealers Association in J.D. Power. It's totally inexplicable as far as its valuation, he said. But he is wrong. It's not inexplicable at all. It's very explicable. Tesla makes some nice cars, as you'd expect from a company that charges an arm and a leg for them. But Jackson's statement wasn't about its cars, their quality, or electric versus internal combustion engines. It was about Tesla's market capitalization of $51 billion. The company has accomplished a lot. Electric cars have been around for longer than internal combustion engines, technically. When they first appeared in the 1800s, they competed with steam-powered cars and horses. What Tesla has done is put them on the map. This was a huge feat. Now every global automaker has electric cars. They all, including Tesla's, still have the same problem they did in the 1800s, and that's the battery. But those problems, cost, weight, or range, and time it takes to charge, are getting smaller as the technology advances. And the competition from the giants, once batteries are ready for prime time, will be huge and global. So in March, Tesla sold a whopping 4,050 new vehicles in the U.S., according to Auto Data. All automakers combined sold 1.56 million new vehicles in the U.S. This gives Tesla a record high market share of an invisibly small 0.26%. Volume-wise, it's in the same ballpark as Porsche. GM, on the other hand, sold 256,007 new vehicles in March, for a market share of 16.5%. In other words, GM sold 63 times as many new cars as Tesla did. And for percent lovers, he says that's 6,221% more. Even if Tesla quadruples its sales in the U.S., it still will not amount to a significant market share. Then there's Tesla's financial performance. It lost money in every one of its 10 years of existence. Here are the profits, net losses Tesla racked up. Here's a picture of that. Totaling $2.9 billion every single year after year. And boy, oh boy, did 2015 and 2016 look horrible. How can a company that is now 9. Yeah, we're in 2017. 9 years old and losing money year after year. And you could argue the first few years, well, we're new, yada, yada. Which if you look at 2008 and 9, you would expect 2010 to be even lower, 2011 to be even lower, 2012 start making a profit, 2013 make a profit, 14 higher, But you could also argue up Jason Niven's 2008, 2009 crisis. Okay, I'm with you. How about 2010 as it got worse, 2011 worse, 2012 worse, all of a sudden, we must be in recovery mode. Or was that the time we did Cash for Clunkers? I can't remember. 2014, back to terrible. 2015, oh my God. In 2016, not too far from, oh my God, second worst in on the chart in 9 years. So again, this is only 8-year chart here, but it doesn't really matter. So, how is this company's stock prices just going up? You are telling the world, the market is telling the world that a extremely non-profitable company is worth $51 billion. If you tried to sell Tesla today, how would you even value it? Normally, you're supposed to take like 5 years of profits and figure all that out. And okay, well, you made this much. Oh, yep, it's you don't want to see years where they're in the red, because if you find years where in the red, you're going to say, look, the last 5 years you had 2 years in the red. You've only had 3 in the green. I can't possibly offer you what you would expect. So here's my offer, right? But if you came to the table, I'd like you to buy my company. Show me all the years of existence you've been in business. I need to see your profit and loss statement, of course. And I saw the closest 2 years to today as, oh my God, horrible, not looking good, looking worse than terrible. How do you even find someone to buy it? Who would want to buy that? It's not making any worth $51 billion. Stock price rose to $313.38 today. Wow. We constantly hear the old saw that stock prices reflect future earnings and or cash flows, and that looking back 10 years has no meaning for the future. Alas, after 10 years of producing losses, Tesla shows no signs of making money in the future. Again, see those last 2 years. It might instead continue burning through investor cash by the billions. Based on the logic that stock prices reflect future earnings, its shares should be at about 0. And this chart compares Tesla's net losses, which I'm going to flip back, and GM's net income, which is the green bars, in millions of dollars. Over those 8 years going back to 2010, Tesla lost $2.7 billion, and GM earned $47.1 billion. Yet Tesla just squeaked by it now and is worth more. It's a bigger market cap, whatever. You kidding me? However, unlike GM, Tesla hasn't gone bankrupt, despite its massive losses and negative cash flows. And why is that? Because Tesla is able to extract new money from investors and lenders, so it won't run out of money. As it burns that cash, it gets more cash, so that it won't have to go bankrupt. Companies only go bankrupt when investors and lenders trying to cut their losses say, no more. Then the money-losing companies cannot fund their operations any longer and instead hire bankruptcy lawyers. That's what happened to GM during the financial crisis. It was losing a lot of money. At one point, lenders and investors said, forget it. Hang on one second. So if lenders and investors someday decide to pay attention to Tesla's losses and outrageous cash burn, they too might walk away. But that's not going to happen in this stock market. For GM, it too took a special event, the financial crisis. So does that make GM undervalued? No. It faces a rough and tough market in the U.S. It paid out record incentives just to nudge up sales 1.5% in March. Overall, sales are down this year despite the biggest incentives ever, and the bottom is falling out of the subprime and auto loans and used car values. In comparison with GM, Tesla is ludicrously overvalued, but it's not inexplicable. It's perfectly explicable by the wondrously Fed-engineered stock market that has long ago abandoned any pretext of valuing companies on a rational basis, and it's explicable by the hype, the research, issued by Wall Street investment banks that hope to get fat fees from Tesla's next offerings of shares or convertible debt. The amounts are huge, going back 10 years. Last month, Tesla raised another $1.2 billion after having raised $1.5 billion in May of 2016. There will be more. Tesla is burning a lot of cash. Investment banks get rich on these deals. You know, when they raise cash, when they raise money. The bonuses are huge, so it's okay to hype Tesla stock and sell it to their clients. Everybody wins in this scenario, except for a few despised short sellers who are hung up on their silly notion of reality. As long as shares continue to rise, the whole equation is perfectly validated. Let the doubters and short sellers stew in their own juices. Shares will rise because stock jockeys expect them to rise. And with that expectation, they buy them and drive up their price. Buy turns into a self-fulfilling prophecy. It won't last forever. But until then, market share, profits, or anything else vaguely linked to reality simply does not matter. Tesla stock is the perfect thermometer of a stock market that has become such a bubble that even the Fed is getting antsy. But if history is the guide, you're on your own. He links to his other article, Buy, Sell, or Crash Fed Warns on Stocks, and look what happens. I'll link this video in the description box. This is a market that is so out of touch with reality, it can't get any more out of touch. It's beyond that. When you have a company that can post terrible, not just kind of bad, terrible losses year after year, and the last 2 years, again, going back almost 10 years, and the last 2 years are the worst ever. How in the hell does the stock value go higher than it should be going? I mean, is this a record high for Tesla stock? Tesla stock price. It dropped 1% by the end of the day. How about a maximum view? Yes, we are at record high, even at the little bit of a loss stage, 308 currently. Markets are closed, but whatever. 308, again, it was 313, whatever the hell it was. Record high. You have record high losses, 2015 and 2016. Record high losses. Your stock goes through the moon. Somebody pinch me hard, real hard. I can't possibly be awake and doing a video on this right now. I have got to be dreaming. Oh my God. You already know. This will not end well. This will not end well. But in the meantime, it's ending fantastically. Until it doesn't. And that's right around the time you decide, man, this has been going up. All these stocks have been going up for so long. I kind of think they'll never come down. I kind of think the Fed will just stay involved forever. I need to get in on this. I can't sit by anymore. It's been years now. I got to get back in this market. And right when you make that decision, you wake up the next day and the market has been destroyed. And you say, how the hell did that just happen? I've been out of the market for years, been keeping my money safe. It just keeps going higher. I could have made 20% over the last several years. I got to get back in. I got to get back in. And I'm going to remind you what Lindsay Williams' elite friend said years ago, the one who got everything right. We're going to pull every last sucker back into this market. We're going to pull them all back in, and then we're going to pull out the rug from underneath them. But before that happens, we're going to make sure that market goes up even more, goes up even more, goes up even more, to where you say it can't go up more. It's going to go up more. And when you say it's not possible that it'll go any higher, it's going to go higher. He said, when I asked him why, because we're going to pull every last sucker back into this market before we let it go. Only they know when they're going to pull that trigger. And I'm here to tell you, I do think later this year, if we even get to later this year before we really start seeing some problems, that might be the time that they pull the trigger. But if we have a so-called government shutdown in the next couple of weeks and they don't get it resolved by chance, we may have this problem before we get to September, October. Or we may find that the government can finagle, cook the books until September. And then absolutely past that, we have to get a new debt ceiling, thing passed, or else, it's good night. And as I've said recently, I think anyways, that the war drums are beating. And if we can position the war drums to beat really hard right when Congress comes back in the next couple of weeks, and they have 4 days to pass legislation to kick the can debt ceiling, deal with that, maybe they'll be scared into just, okay, let's give them a couple trillion. Because we're going to need that money here, North Korea, Syria, that kind of thing, Syria, whatever. But this is beyond absurd. I'm not even on planet Earth with this. Take care.